You don't need to be louder, or richer, or more ripped. What you need, what she feels but can't quite explain, is a kind of stillness, a gravity, a quiet power that doesn't demand attention because it naturally attracts it. It's the kind of presence you can't fake. And you won't find it in pickup lines, alpha posturing, or scrolling through endless advice threads on Reddit. You'll find it by turning inward. And no philosophy in history understood this better than Stoicism. Now, let's be real. When most people hear Stoic, they think of someone emotionally numb, cold, maybe even robotic. But that's not Stoicism, not at its core. Stoicism is not about suppressing emotion. It's about mastering your response to life. It's not about being indifferent to love, connection, or attraction, but about being so grounded in yourself that you no longer need those things to validate your worth. And ironically, that's what makes you magnetic. There's something undeniably attractive about a man who doesn't flinch, who's not trying to impress, who can sit in silence without fidgeting, who can listen, truly listen, without needing to interrupt, explain, or outdo, who moves through life with intention, not desperation. That's a Stoic man, not because he's cold, but because he's composed, not because he's indifferent, but because he's whole. And this wholeness, it sends a signal, not a flashy one, but a deep one, a quiet frequency that some women are incredibly tuned into. You've seen this before, you've probably felt it. Maybe it was in the presence of a mentor, a grandfather, a friend's father, someone who didn't try to be liked and yet was respected, admired, even subtly desired. This isn't about playing games, it's about living by principles. Because when your inner world is in order, your outer world tends to follow. But here's the twist. Stoicism isn't some monk on a mountain isolation game. It's intensely practical, especially when it comes to relationships. Because women don't fall for noise, they fall for depth. And nothing creates depth like Stoic self-mastery. So what does that look like in real life? What are the quiet, powerful Stoic moves that stir something in her without you even trying? Let's walk that path. Imagine her watching you not flinch when things go sideways. Not because you're pretending, but because you've trained your mind to stay calm in chaos. Wouldn't that make you stand out in a world addicted to drama? You're out with her. Maybe it's just coffee. Maybe it's something more. The barista messes up the order. She's annoyed, ready to complain. But you simply smile and say, "No worries." You don't escalate. You don't match the tension. You dissolve it. She feels it. You've just demonstrated one of the most underrated signs of inner strength, emotional self-regulation. In that small moment, you showed her, without a single brag, that you're not ruled by emotion. You respond, you don't react. And to a woman who's constantly surrounded by overstimulated men snapping at the slightest inconvenience, that's rare. That's hot. But you didn't do it to impress her. You did it because you are that man. Because you've practiced stillness when no one was watching. You've rehearsed patience in the quiet moments of your own life. That's the Stoic edge. The attraction is a byproduct. Have you ever noticed how a man who needs nothing often ends up having everything? Maybe she's not drawn to what you do, but to what you don't chase. That restraint, it speaks louder than words ever could. You see, it's not that you're detached from life. It's that you're rooted in it. When you walk into a room, you're not scanning to see who's looking at you. You're not adjusting your posture just because she walked in. You're present, anchored. Your sense of worth doesn't fluctuate based on attention. She notices, even if she can't explain it. It's like standing near a mountain. You don't have to hear it speak to feel its power. Its sheer presence makes you pause, makes you look twice. That's the kind of man a Stoic becomes. Not loud, but immovable. Not needy, but aware. Not seeking validation, but radiating value. This isn't about pretending not to care. That's just another form of performance. It's about genuinely caring more about your integrity than your image. Because when you commit to that, Your actions align. You say what you mean, you follow through. You don't flake, you don't play games, and you don't overpromise. You become safe. Not in a boring way, but in the rare, grounding way that makes her feel like she can exhale around you. You're not trying to win her. You're simply living in a way that she naturally wants to move closer to. That kind of presence, that kind of stability, it's intoxicating. Picture her standing across from you, watching how you speak to the waiter, how you treat the people who have nothing to offer you. She's not listening to your words. She's watching your alignment. Are you who you say you are? She can feel it before you say a thing. Because the truth is, attraction, real deep attraction, doesn't come from performance. It comes from congruence, from being a man whose values aren't just ideas, they're lived. And when she sees that, when she sees you calmly walking away from chaos, choosing peace over pettiness, silence over showmanship, her curiosity turns to fascination. You didn't need her attention, and that's exactly why you have it. You're not trying to be impressive. You're trying to be consistent. And the crazy thing is, in a world of inconsistency, that's more seductive than any perfect pickup line. You don't interrupt her. You let her speak. You listen, not to respond, but to understand. You aren't waiting for your turn to talk. You're absorbing, holding space. And when you do speak, you do it with intention. Not just to fill silence, but to say something that actually matters. That's another Stoic move. Mastery over the tongue. Because the more a man understands his words have weight, the less he throws them around like confetti. She picks up on that. It's not just what you say, it's how little you need to say to express who you are. Think about the last time you met someone who didn't rush to fill the silence. Someone who paused, thought, and then answered with clarity. Didn't you lean in a little closer? Wonder what else they were thinking. That pause, it creates gravity, and gravity pulls. You begin to realize that power isn't about being in control of others. It's about being in control of yourself. That's what the Stoics taught. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So when life throws a curveball, whether it's a rude comment, a failed plan, or a moment of rejection, you don't spiral. You absorb it. You process it. You move on. Not because you're numb, but because you've trained your mind to see clearly. And that clarity, that lack of chaos in your eyes, it draws her in. It's not about dominance, it's about discipline. You lead yourself first, and when you do, others naturally follow. In a world where so many are emotionally hijacked by likes, by texts, by attention, imagine being the one who doesn't flinch, who doesn't need constant reassurance. That kind of peace, that's irresistible, that's rare. You start to live in a rhythm that doesn't chase. You're no longer moved by the winds of opinion or the storms of emotion. You move at your own pace. You choose your direction, and the deeper you commit to that pace, the more magnetic you become. Because here's the secret, in a world obsessed with speed, slowness stands out. When you speak slowly, when you take your time to decide, when you're not reactive, you signal something primal, that you are in control, not of her, not of the situation, but of yourself. You're not scanning for the next opportunity. You're rooted in the moment you're in. You're not texting 5 women to keep your options open. You're not checking Instagram every 5 minutes for validation. You're not driven by fear of missing out, because you already know who you are and where you stand. And let me tell you, that kind of clarity hits different. She sees it in your eyes. You're not rushing her, not pressuring. You're simply present, comfortable with whatever unfolds. That space, that calm, it opens her up. Not because you're manipulating her emotions, but because your presence tells her, without saying a word, "You're safe here. I don't need anything from you, but if you want to join me, you're welcome." Can you feel that shift? When you go from wanting someone to accept you to simply offering who you are, that transition from seeking to offering is what separates noise from depth. Boys chase, men invite. You know what else she notices? your boundaries, not just with her, but with everything. You don't stay up all night binge-watching shows you don't care about. You don't say yes when you mean no. You don't tolerate disrespect, not from her, not from friends, not even from yourself. And when she tests you, because she will, you don't get angry. You don't chase. You simply hold your line calmly, firmly, and in doing so, you earn something more valuable than attraction. You earn respect. Because the Stoic man knows if you bend your values to gain affection, you'll lose both. You're not here to be agreeable. You're here to be true. And truth? That's magnetic. Imagine her trying to throw you off center just to see what you're made of. Not because she wants to break you, but because she wants to know if you'll bend. And when you don't, when you hold steady, that's when trust begins. That's when respect turns into something deeper. You've probably seen this play out without knowing it. You've seen the guy who panics when she pulls away, who texts too much, who over-explains, who's constantly trying to reassure her. That's not confidence, that's insecurity in disguise. The Stoic doesn't chase connection, he creates space for it to arrive. And when it does, he welcomes it. But when it doesn't, he's still whole. Because he's not filling a void, he's offering overflow. He's filled himself through self-discipline, solitude, clarity of purpose. He's fought battles in the quiet. He's buried his ego in the soil of daily discipline. And from that, a quiet kind of power grows. Power that doesn't have to shout. Power that she can feel the moment you walk in. What if the most attractive thing you could offer isn't your charm, your looks, or your success, but your peace? What if peace is the new sexy, and your stillness is the loudest signal in the room? And maybe that's the heart of it. Peace, not the kind you stumble into when life is easy, but the kind you forge in fire, the kind that's earned when you choose the harder right over the easier wrong, the kind that comes from knowing, I've faced myself, and I didn't flinch. That's where Stoicism lives. In the early mornings when you rise before the world, in the silence after a long day when no one's watching and you still choose discipline, in the uncomfortable moments when your ego wants to lash out and you instead choose grace. She may not know the word for it. She might just call it confidence or mystery or presence. But what she's really feeling is your alignment. You've become a man whose actions and principles are welded together. And in a world where so many are living double lives, where masks are worn and motives are hidden, this kind of integrity isn't just attractive, it's revolutionary. You don't flinch when plans fall apart. You don't break when you're ghosted or misunderstood. You don't crumble when she pulls away, because your worth isn't hanging on her attention. That doesn't mean you're closed off. Far from it. It means your heart is open, but your identity is secure. And here's the paradox she won't be able to explain. The more unattached you are to winning her, the more drawn she'll be to your world. Because it's not about needing her in order to feel like a man. It's about being a man and offering her the rare opportunity to step into that quiet, steady space you've built. A space without games, without desperation, without masks, just presence, depth, and the kind of energy that makes her feel like, for the first time in a long time, she can exhale. Think about it. When was the last time someone made you feel calm just by being near them? Not because of what they did, but because of who they were? That's the level Stoicism invites you to. And as you keep walking this path, something even more powerful begins to emerge. Your focus shifts. You stop living for attraction and start living for excellence. You become obsessed, not with being wanted, but with becoming worthy. Not in her eyes, but in your own. You sharpen your craft. You honor your word. You train your body. You discipline your mind, not to impress, but to express your respect for this life you've been given. And from that depth, from that devotion, attraction becomes effortless. She doesn't just want you, She trusts you, she respects you, because who you are behind closed doors matches who you are in front of her. That's Stoicism in motion, not cold, not distant, but solid, steady, magnetic. Because in a world full of noise, you've become the silence that cuts through. And when she looks at you, she sees more than just a man. She sees something rare, a still flame, a quiet strength, a reminder that it's possible to be powerful without ever raising your voice. So here's the final question, maybe the only one that matters. Who are you when no one's watching? Because the man you are in silence determines how the world responds to your presence, including her. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to become someone solid, someone who doesn't react but responds, who doesn't chase but invites, who doesn't perform but lives aligned. This is what Stoicism has always been about, not impressing the world, but mastering yourself. And when you do, she notices, she feels it. She's drawn in, not by what you say, but by what you are, a man of virtue, a man of peace, a man on fire quietly. And if this message stirred something in you, if a part of you knows it's time to stop chasing and start mastering, then don't let it fade. Subscribe to this channel, not just because it helps us grow, but because this space is for men like you, men walking the Stoic path, men reclaiming their peace, their power, and their purpose. Drop a comment, let me know which part of this spoke to you most, or better yet, which part of yourself you're ready to sharpen. And if you know a brother who needs this message, share it. You never know what one quiet truth can awaken. Until next time, keep walking, keep steady, and let the world feel your stillness.